What's up, Variant Nation? Yes, this past Saturday was Batman Day worldwide. But this year was a pretty big one, as we were also celebrating the Dark Knight's 80th anniversary. That's 80 years of epic Batman comics, graphic novels, TV shows, movies, endless merchandise, and on we go. It's a milestone very few characters in all of fiction have achieved. So to honor such a momentous occasion, we want to take a brief look at Bruce Wayne and his superhero alter ego, and see what it is about Batman that has made him one of the longest running and most iconic fictional characters in all of history. In fact, he's almost definitely the most studied and analyzed superhero in all of comic books. And while Bats has seen many distinct changes over the years, it all started with Bob Kane and Bill Finger, who created him for Detective Comics issue 27 in 1939. Batman immediately became popular, but it was his origin story which was detailed for the first time in Detective Comics issue 33 and later fleshed out in Batman 47. That really cemented him in the hearts and minds of readers. Fans got their first look at a very young Bruce Wayne who witnessed his parents' brutal murder as a small-time thief shot them down in cold blood, only for him to take the pain and fear from that horrific and traumatic night and use it to fuel a relentless war against crime and anyone who would seek to harm the innocent. That very relatable human desire to find the courage to face your fears and even turn fear on the bullies, combined with great storytelling, resonated so much with the audience that Batman was quickly given his own title in 1940. From there, the Caped Crusader went on to become a founding member of the Justice League, as well as the only human member of the DC Trinity, which of course is made up of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Batman's popularity also quickly saw him make the leap from the comic book pages into many other forms of media. First in radio dramas, making numerous guest appearances in The Adventures of Superman in 1945, then onto television, and eventually big budget movies. However, Batman has made most of his on-screen appearances over the years in TV shows, including the 1966 live-action Batman series, with Adam West wearing the cape and cowl, which was really meant to be a tongue-in-cheek parody, but turned into an icon anyway. It was even turned into a full-length feature film in between the first and second seasons of the show. Come on, shark repellent? Anyone? The Dark Knight has also been in a bunch of animated shows, and some of those include the Batman Superman Hour and The Adventures of Batman in the late 60s. Then he played a huge role in the Super Friends animated series that debuted in 1973 and ran for 13 years. And then of course there's more recent outings like The Batman, Beware the Batman, and on we go. But the most iconic and game-changing animated series for the character was without a doubt Batman the Animated Series, which made its freaking epic debut on Fox in 1992. That show became a staple for Batman fans everywhere and has had a lasting impact on Batman's overall mythos. It just did such an incredible job of embodying Batman in his world and set a new bar for how animated superhero stories could be told. Batman the Animated Series would also go on to spawn 2 feature films with Mask of the Phantasm and Sub-Zero, which are both so good. In fact, I would say Mask of the Phantasm is a must-watch. It's actually my favorite Batman feature film ever. But when it comes to Batman on the big screen, it was Tim Burton who introduced us to our first big-budget live-action Batman, with Michael Keaton playing the hero in 1989's Batman movie. And I'm here to tell you, the movie holds a special place in our hearts here on Planet Variant, as I know it does for many of you. And don't even get me started on Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman in Batman Returns. I'm not saying I was in love with her, but I'm not saying it either. Anyway, several more A-list actors took up the cape and cowl after Keaton, but most recently, and most notably, we had Christian Bale in the massively successful Nolan Batman films, which took a grittier and more real-world approach on Batman and Bruce Wayne. And then of course we have Ben Affleck, or as the fandom affectionately calls him, Batfleck. But of course we have more Batman on the big screen to come with Matt Reeves' solo Batman film with Robert Pattinson taking up the cape and cowl. Having said that, we can't forget that Batman also gave us probably the most well-known superhero vehicle in comics with the Batmobile, the most popular and well-known superhero lair with his Batcave, and what most would consider to be the biggest and most notorious rogues gallery in all of comics. I mean, we're talking about the Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, the Riddler, Two-Face, Mr. Freeze, Scarecrow, Bane, Poison Ivy, and the list goes on for days. For crap's sake, the Joker himself became one of the most iconic villains of all time, period. Ultimately, there are plenty of other Bat things we could mention, but the point is, when you really look at the big picture, Batman has just made an enormous impact on fandom and pop culture over his 80 years. It's pretty insane actually, and the question remains, why? What is it about this rich guy who fights crime and solves mysteries while dressed in a bat suit that appeals to so many people of all ages across multiple generations? Well, that's obviously going to be a subjective answer, but for us, the answer is that, unlike so many other superheroes who are essentially god or demigod-like beings, Batman is 100% human. A superhero without superpowers, who represents our own modern version of Robin Hood. Yes, he does extraordinary things, but in the end, he's just a man, with the same vulnerabilities and mortal realities as the rest of us. This in turn makes him immediately more relatable. We can easily identify and empathize with Bruce Wayne as a young boy who suffered a great loss. boss, and then root for him as a man who learned to face and overcome his fears, eventually using it as a tool to become strong enough to push back against the bad guys, all while holding on to the strength and principles his parents taught him before they died. So while we know that we'll never put on a mask to wage a one-person war against crime, Batman as a character appeals to our sense of justice and reminds us that we should face the hardest and scariest things in life head on. It may sound corny, but for many, Batman represents the courage to stand up to bullies when they come. Or maybe even encourage the hope that when we're not strong enough ourselves, that someone who is strong enough might do the right thing and help. To quote writer Travis Langley, why Batman? Because a child can wish for superpowers, but an adult who may have given up on that particular dream can still wish for strength enough. And let's not leave out the fact that he's just an awesome character who drives a dope car and fights crazy interesting villains, cause that hits me in the feels too. With all that said, congratulations to DC and all the many writers and artists who have given us 80 years of amazing Batman stories. We look forward to many, many more. And that's gonna wrap up today's episode, but if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click that one right here, and if you like what we do, be sure to subscribe, it helps out the channel. But I'll see you guys next time when we talk about all things comics.